witches, it's Strega and I am headed north once again for my weekly dental appointment. For those of you who watch me regularly, I am this year, Halloween, the witches' New Year, Samhain, my resolution is to really work on my physical self, getting myself back to a healthy state of being. Over the last decade or so, my health has been seriously compromised for a lot of reasons. Part of the reasons being some of the stuff we've talked about to do with psychology. Those of you who are regular viewers know that I started doing kind of a series on psychology and how knowing the way our mind works and the way we develop psychologically can help you in your spiritual practice. So some of this physical stuff is because of issues that I needed to work on in my deep mind, my unconscious, and part of that has to do with the fact that as we grow and as we develop our sense of self, part of that identity is programmed by the people around us, by society, by media, and anybody who's going to be successful in occult practices, in witchcraft, and learn how to draw the things to you that you want rather than the things that you either want to avoid or that you're not consciously bringing into your life, is that you have to peel back those layers. Because when things in your unconscious mind are drawing to you things that you don't want or that you're not planning to draw to you, it can really be a huge hindrance to your spiritual practice. It can really cause things to happen that you don't want. In my last video, I was talking about how sometimes there's people who continually are always on a pity party or always talking about themselves being victims, and those things keep repeating, and people end up not wanting to be around those kind of people because they tend to bring down the environment, and that's very true. So if you're gonna be successful in an occult practice of any kind, you really need to get rid of the things that have been programmed in your mind. For me, some of those things were going on so long and so deep that they affected my physical self. People can develop tumors, diseases, aches and pains, all kinds of things, headaches, addictions. And so what's going on deep down inside will have physical symptoms eventually. Some people never deal with them. Some people can go an entire lifetime if they only have a few or they're not that severe. People learn how to kind of limp along and they function with their issues. They find spouses who are willing to, not really make a big deal out of it, and they can live relatively successful lives. But for those of us who don't want to just kind of go along with the status quo, we want to reach a higher state of consciousness, a higher state of success in our spirituality. We're going to need to get rid of those things, deprogram our minds. So this year my resolution is to undo the things that have caused my physical self to deteriorate. And it's been going on for a long time, so I know it's going to take quite a lot of work on my part and quite a lot of willpower to really undo the damage. So today I am headed to the dentist because part of the damage has been done to my teeth. For years I was programmed to believe that as a woman that my value lie in my physical self. I was blessed with relatively good looks when I was younger. I had a nice body, and so I was obsessed with not getting fat, and it led to eating disorders, including bulimia, which, as we all know, there's acid in our stomach, and acid can deteriorate your teeth. And I used to correspond when I was in my early 20s with somebody who was in their 40s, and they were going through exactly what I'm going through now. I am going to have to go through multiple surgeries. I could have, dentures that would be 100% covered by insurance. But being still in my 30s, I'm choosing to go more difficult, more tedious, long-suffering option of getting my teeth fixed, which is going to mean root canals, getting crowns, and all that fun stuff. I'm going to have to get some bone grafts, sinus lifts, and implant surgery. So it's going to be a good year of getting my teeth fixed. And I'm willing to do that because what I realize is that our body is the temple of our spirit. Our body is supposed to be honored, not abused, not marketed. And so in order to undo that damage, I'm going to be putting in the work necessary to do so. So my teeth have been suffering for a long time, and to the point where I had infection going through my bloodstream, and it was making me very, very sick. These things, when you let them go for so long, although on the surface, it seems like, it's just she has bad teeth. But the teeth thing is just the symptom of what was going on for years and years and years deep inside my mind and my unconscious self. So that, over a long-term period of time, could have killed me. If I had gone very much longer, they said I would have just gone to sleep and never woke up. Basically, I would have slipped into a coma, and by the time they figured out what was wrong, where it was coming from, I could have died. So, these things are more serious than we tend to acknowledge, especially in the day and age we live in, where symptoms are not really always dealt with. We kind of manage symptoms through medication. There's so many people in the world who are experiencing anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive things, attention deficit, all kinds of stuff. And rather than really getting to the root of where these things are coming from and why they're so prevalent, we're medicating. I don't even know what the statistics are right now, but at one point I remember reading that it was like 50% of the population that was on some kind of mental health medication. And that's just not normal. We were made to be strong and to be healthy. We were made in the image of God, Goddess, Spirit. We're supposed to be strong and healthy. So that's my goal for this year, is to regain my health. That being said, as far as witchcraft goes, if you think about the old days and who were the witches and what did they when did people go to seek their help? Some of what nowadays is considered magic or witchcraft is a lot of what in the old days would have been called magic, but nowadays it's called science. For example, there's simple things that I think every witch should know as far as healing goes, and it doesn't have to be anything spell related. I think every witch should have a basic knowledge of some degree of how to take care of sick people. I think we should have a basic knowledge of survival skills. We should know how to, what are the important things to survival? Food, water, fire, warmth, those kinds of things. So, it's just a suggestion, but I think everybody should learn how, in the case of a disaster or an emergency, especially given the terrorism stuff that's going on in the world today. I've heard a lot of people saying that the money system could collapse and the food is becoming scarce. What's going on in California with the water, that water is predicted to not be available to California in the near future. I think that as witches, people come to us when they have need, when they have desperation, when survival is an issue, when things purify water. We should know where to find water in the event that survival is an issue. We should know how to make dirty water drinkable, clean, filter it. We should know how to start a fire. Not only just, regular circumstances, but what do you do when it's wet? Do you know how to find tinder and all of that kind of stuff? So, just a suggestion. I've been reading up a little bit on that kind of stuff recently, and I just think that it's a basic survival skill that a lot of people, especially now, especially in America, we're kind of conditioned that we think things are always going to go the way they're going. They're always going to continue as the status quo, that the grocery stores are always going to be packed with food. But we as witches, we have these extra sensory perception that, we know how to grow our food, and that's a great skill. That's an important skill, and we kind of forget the value. We do it because we enjoy doing it. We're connected to the earth. We do things that other people don't always do. We know the moon cycles, and we feel the difference in the energy as we're planting and as we're reaping and harvesting, and that is so important, and it's so beneficial as far as living goes, but also as far as surviving goes. So being able to plant seeds and grow under various conditions is an important skill, and not just in the sense of spirituality, but in the sense of reality and in the sense of surviving. So I would suggest, if you guys don't know how to do some of the basic stuff, it's a good idea to just learn how. In the case of an emergency, you might be able to save people's lives just from knowing a basic skill like how to purify water.